No-brainers. I know especially for some of you they will be no-brainers. Others of you, you might have to think in, unless you majored in history or something. Okay, what was Veterans Day? And, oh, by the way, you can put a quarter in if you get the answer right, or you can put a quarter in if you get the answer wrong. Or you can just leave $1, whatever. All right, what was Veterans Day originally called? Armistice Day. All right, what year did it become Armistice Day, or Veterans Day? No. 50-something. 50 what? 54. 1954, pretty close. All right, now, who was president in 1954? Eisenhower, good. All right, what is the correct spelling of Veterans Day? Of veterans, does it have an apostrophe or no apostrophe?
No apostrophe.
No apostrophe, that's correct. And when I originally spelled it out, I put an apostrophe in there. Yeah, that's what I said. Okay, all right. Now this is an easy one. What date and commemorates the armistice?
November
11th? 1918. That is correct. It's at what time?
The 11th.
The 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month of 1918. All right. Now this was a little harder. Where was the armistice signed? Oh, he's smart.
I was there.
You were there. In a rail car, and I got to put my glasses on for this. The armistice was signed in a rail carriage in the forest of Compiègne, France. And, just as an aside, and I know probably none of you know this, it was serving as the headquarters for the Allied Supreme Commander Marshal Foch. So it was an appropriate place for an armistice. All right. Next question. How many post 9/11 military veterans have served? Anybody want to take a guess? 2.5 million. And that is less than 1% of our population. How many have served in Iraq and Afghanistan? How many veterans have served in Iraq and Afghanistan? That's 2 million. All right. How many student veterans have attended college since 9/11? 1 million. Now here's another question. How many veterans are homeless? You're talking about feeding Vermillion. How many veterans are homeless? Around 50,000. Or they are at risk for homelessness. How many post 9/11 veterans have started their own businesses? It would be, I don't know the number, but it would be 13.7% of the veterans. All right, and what 3 states, this should be a simple one, what 3 states have the largest veteran populations? Yeah. California, Florida, and Texas. And the last question, how many World War II veterans are alive today? And I'll give you some choices. 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, or 250,000. How many World War II vets are still alive? 200,000. So, those are all my questions. You did really well.
Quarter question, I think that was $5 a piece, so put it in the pot.
All right, so today we will have an opportunity to hear from the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission and Evelyn, I cannot talk today, Evelyn, I'm sorry.
Schlenker.
Yes, Evelyn Schlenker will come and, do your thing, all right? Okay. I'm just had a problem today.
Okay, let's see. Okay, thank you very much for inviting the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission for our, it's become annual Preservation Awards. Just for those people who don't know, the mission of this organization is to promote, advise, educate Clay County, South Dakota residents on preserving historical sites. We support owners of historic sites, identify potential new historic districts, hold meetings and workshops to discuss historic buildings and tax benefits, and we do an enormous amount of publishing and disseminating information about historic preservation and historic sites. So last year, our chair, who's sitting over there, Tim Schreiner, wrote a book on a tour of the whole USD campus. I mean, it's, aside from just writing the book, I should mention the fourth point is our collaboration with the Vermillion Historic Preservation Commission. The USD Historic District is now on the National Register as of February 2025, and that was a joint effort. These are just our board members. I introduced you to Tim Schreiner. Jim Wilson is over here, our vice chair. Patrick Morrison, who also is a Rotary member, but I don't see him. Myself, Jim Stone is over here. You can move your hand so they know who you are. And then Connie Kruger is also here. If anybody's interested in becoming a member of the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission, that would be great. So the categories for awards are long-term preservation or restoration of a structure by individuals or an organization. And then the second one, and we've not done this before, but you know, what the heck, is adding a historic agriculture, architectural elements to a historic building. And I'll explain what that means. So the first award goes to Gordon Jensen, and I had the privilege of touring the barn and the other shed where he has, all of them are John Deere tractors, by the way, and that's why you have that barn quilt on top of that barn. That's a John Deere barn quilt. This is a homestead that was started in 1869 in Clay County. And Mr. Jensen started the farms, the Jensen farms, in 1957. On this side, we have a drawing that Jim Stone did. And just to give you an idea of the dimensions of this barn, 58 feet long, 36 feet wide, and 42 feet high. And so the bottom originally had stalls for horses, and then they had other livestock afterwards. And on the top it was a hayloft and a granary. So this was an enormous business, and I won't talk about how many acres of land your family has, because I heard you don't do that. So the second individual who we're honoring today is Jacob Quayle. So Jacob Quayle found, this is by the Lions Park. You notice how ugly these are? So this is a Vermillion historic highway marker. And obviously you can't read anything on there, but it gives the history of Vermillion. And the other side shows the historic highway, which was the Missouri River, and some of the places on it. So Dr. Quayle organized, and maybe he'll talk more about it, organized people, organizations, museums to help with the renovation of this. And this is what it looks like today. So in June 18th, there was 2025, there was a dedication of the renovated historic markers. There are historic markers in Clay County and in Vermillion that need to be updated. So this is an important event. And not only does it look better, but people can actually read it and appreciate what's on there. So this is another award. And by the way, after I finish talking, I'll have the awardees come up and get a signed framed certificate, and they can talk a little bit about their project. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. This is I don't know if you can see it, but this is from the Coyote Yearbook from 1911. These are residences at that time in Vermillion. And you notice a lot of them have extensive porches. The porches were used for visiting, for shading houses. They were very useful in a number of ways, and some of them were on the first floor and the second floor. Some of them were smaller, some of them were very extensive. However, with time, porches fell into disrepair, and they were sometimes rebuilt. And most of the time when they were rebuilt, people didn't do such a hot job. I mean, sometimes they did. You know, we congratulate those that did. And sometimes I've seen the shadow of what the porch looked like when people removed tiles or other porches. And you can see what the thing really looked like. And it could be on a very small house, it could be on a grandiose house. Doesn't make a difference. A lot of porches are screened in, but what happens in many cases is that the porches are actually enclosed to make more inside space for that house. So these are sort of the fate of porches. So there are two honorees in this category. Dean and Linda Gay Zimmerman. This is 709 East Main Street, and this is a house that was built in the first part of the 20th century, 1914. And the picture that says before was actually a picture that Dean Zimmerman gave to Jim Wilson, who then gave it to me, and you see it now. The second is one that I took with the porch attached. And you can see from an architectural point of view what it's done, but it's also a space that people can use. Obviously not in the dead of winter, but otherwise can use. And it's a beautiful porch. The second one, and these folks unfortunately are not here, is 126th Forest Avenue. This was a house originally built in 1883, and it's been changed quite a bit over the years. And the before shows no porch. And it was the Beatty family that took it from what it originally looked like in 1883 to what we lovingly in the neighborhood called the cube, because it looked like a cube, right? This is when the porch was put on. So you can see very very big changes, and this is now an added room to the house, an outside room, but it has historic value in Clay County, in Vermillion. And there are a number of houses that have added porches recently, and they don't have to be grandiose. Some of them are small, but there are places where people can sit and relax, maybe read a book, visit with neighbors. So from a social point of view, it adds a lot to the house and to the people who live there. So at this point, I'm going to go back. I'd like to invite Gordon Jensen to come up, and he will receive a certificate of recognition from the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission, and he might have a few words of wisdom beyond what I've said. So why don't you...
Not much wisdom.
Well, no, but you gotta go here, we're gonna take a picture. Oh, well.
But I want to thank Evelyn and Jim for the work they do. They do good work.
Yeah. So this is a barn that was built, what, in the 1920s?
It's
So-
probably about 100 years old.
About 100 years old. So,
It's built, right?
yeah,
So anyway, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And if you want the box, if he wants the box.
Oh, yes.
Okay, the second individual to get a recognition award is sitting right here, is Dr. Jacob Quayle. So let me move that on there. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't do a barn. Had to be on top of it. Yeah.
If I could say one or two words, because I feel kind of bad, this is just a marker. We're going to talk about barns, porches, much bigger things, but the process to get this thing refurbished took like a year, right? And so, because there was not a process to do it. I always thought, I drove past it all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not from Vermillion. I've lived here for 5 years, but I cannot look at it anymore. You can't even read it. Right? And then I was so upset, like, doesn't anybody see this? Anybody else see this? And then I remember, in surgery training, we were always told in the military, if not you, then who? And this is something we all know here in Rotary, right? If not me, then who, right? So I was like, I better eat my own words and like do this. And then I didn't know how to do it. I went to the state. There's no money, of course, for this from the state. And then, okay, went to Ted. Okay, we figured something out. I went to Tim. We figured something out. We're like trying to get money to do this. It was like $1,700. So I thought it'd be a little bit more, but I was so frustrated with the process a couple times. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to pay it. My wife brought me down from the clouds. No. Right? But then how do you get this into Ohio? So all these historical markers, the state says you should get them refurbished. There's a place in Ohio that does it. So then how are we going to get this thing down? It's heavy, right? So we went to the Department of Transportation. They took it down. We were like, where do we store this? Well, they need a loading dock to get this thing. I'm like, I don't have a loading dock. And they asked the commercial center, who has that? I don't know. Right, so we went to the WHO Museum, right? And so they helped out. And then, eventually we sent it there, we got it back, and we had this thing. So a lot of folks, I feel like I didn't do anything, right, other than get paid, right? And the other big thing was this was made in 1966, erected by the Rotary Club. So I was like, we need to take ownership for this, right? Because we own this, so it lasts about 60 years. So when we're all gone from this place here, 60 years, so they're lasts about 60 years, so maybe they'll have to redo it again, right? So when we're thinking long term here. But I like to think Melissa too, she was a Rotary president, and I'm sure she's like, oh my gosh, she could stop talking about this historical marker, right? Because that made my problem your problem, right? And that's what I tell my kids never to do. Never make your problem other people's problems. So I just want to thank everybody, and thanks Ted and Tim and Bill at the WHO Museum. So thanks.
Get it to the right point here. So just to let you know, Grant and Michelle Riedel won't be here. I will be delivering their certificate, but we do have Dean and Linda Gay Zimmerman here for the beautiful house that they put this beautiful porch on. So if you'd like to come up, there's steps. Yeah, you don't want to jump up. I mean, we have a doctor here, but you know. Would you like to say these?
Yeah, I would. I'm usually not the talker, my wife is. And she gives the speeches, but I did want to say a couple things. Gay was born here and raised here, and I grew up in Yankton, South Dakota, so we both came to school here, and this is where we met. That was back in those days in the late 60s. And we would go up and down Main Street and we'd see this house. And we would say, that house needs a porch. Jump ahead 65 years almost. Page 2, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. We got a call when we were thinking about retiring from a mystery person in this room. And this house was for sale, so we came immediately up here, took a look at it, bought it the next day, and proceeded to move back to Vermillion. We might have been somewhere else, but this person steered us back to Vermillion. So the first thing we did when we got back was start working on a new porch for this house. This house was built in 1914. A lot of changes were made over the years, from electrical to roofing to garage, finished basement, some of those sorts of things, but no porch. So we started designing the porch and wanted to try to, our objective was to get it as close to what it might have been had there been one back in 1914. This is what we came up with, this is what you see here, so it's nice to know that it's kind of appreciated, so thank you very much. I was going to just ask the quiz and see if anybody would guess, but I suppose it was Susan Tooley who gave us a call, and that's what moved us back to South Dakota. And that's why people say we're crazy for coming back to South Dakota, where it was Wakonda that we lived for 65 years. So I wanted to say something because we've been away 65 years, and now we're back.
Did you want the box too, or no?
No, this is okay.
Okay. So that concludes our program. If you have any questions, I'm sure I can't answer them, but Tim is over there. Yeah.
Question. So how do you start, so now you've moved on to the next thing, right? How do you start finding the places?
Places to nominate? We actually asked people in the community if they have ideas. So if you have, or anybody here, has an idea of a structure or a site that they want nominated, what we do is we ask for the nomination and the information about it. In other words, we need more than just a name of something. Why is this important? And then a picture is a good idea. And possibly before and after, or what you think it would be. So anybody and everybody is invited to nominate.
Do you do some of your own research then after something's been nominated?
Yeah. I mean, the site, for example, whoops, one more. Okay, this is a URL for this site, and I wasn't there to take a picture before what it looked like, but this is from 1921, and I found that. And what's nice about this is you can the words that are on there are transcribed, so you can actually read it. So you don't have to stand on the highway and necessarily read it, but you get an idea of what's on it. So that was something that I added, so that individuals can then, and all you have to do is look for historical markers, Clay County, and it comes to Vermillion, and add Vermillion. Then you see it. I don't think they've updated it, sadly, to how beautiful it is now. We gotta get a fire under them to do that. Maybe you can do that.
No, I'm not. No.
No.
I'm done.
But yeah, no, we do add some information. For example, the pictures of porches. I mean, to show that this was a bona fide architectural, historical thing. It's not something we just thought their porches were nice, but that it's part of the history of this community. So, yeah.
Could you explain the difference between the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission and the Clay County Historical Society?
Yeah. So the Clay County Historical Society owns the Austin Whitmore House Museum, and their area of expertise is primarily history, even though they have a lot of artifacts and they have some photographs, some older photography that you can look through. Probably Connie can give you a little more insight. Connie?
The commission is the umbrella, and we're one of the entities under the umbrella that just very specializes in the Whitmore House and then...
No. It's separate.
Oh, I thought we were under you.
No, they're separate organizations.
Erase everything I said.
Okay. No, and the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission is really primarily interested in preserving sites and buildings in Clay County that have historic significance. And when I say historic, yeah?
The short answer is that the Historical Society concentrates on people and we concentrate on buildings.
And sites. So, for example, Spirit Mound is a site. This is, a marker, but it depicts, what happened, and it marks it.
Evelyn? Also, the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission is part of county government.
Right.
And the society is not.
That's right.
And if we are looking for nominees for the award, and it is the Clay County Historic Preservation Commission. This year, everything was in town. We're looking for
Oh, no, it wasn't. The barn?
Yeah, the barn.
That was Clay
We're
County.
looking for things out in the county.
When did the Preservation Commission start? How many sites
how many awards, how many were refused this year versus the 4 that were selected?
So you're asking actually a number of different questions. We officially started in 1988, and then we got rejuvenated later because they lost documentation. Don't ask me about it. You know, I would say overall, this year, pretty much everything that was suggested with documentation was okay. In the past, sometimes we get a bunch of them and we say, well, wait a minute, that needs to be actually fixed. For example, there might be a house in Vermillion that somebody is in the process of renovating, but it's quasi, in other words, parts of it are renovated, but not the whole thing. So we would probably not give an award to them until the job is done. But we usually try to get 4, maybe at the most 5 awards per year. And again, if folks have an idea of a building or an organization, I mean, right now, for example, I'm seeing some really nice work being done on the old Carnegie Library downtown. I mean, I think that's wonderful that still is in existence, and it's usable. The city originally, I can't say, they didn't wash their hands of it, they really didn't. But they didn't support it the way they should have historically. And so it was the lawyers that inhabited it from like 1974 or 5 till now that have really pushed for renovation. So Brent Matters, who is in there now, is a preservationist. And there was a grant that the city got, a Deadwood grant, to help refurbish it. So, we could be thinking about that potentially. But, anybody can come up with an idea. We're not, that's just an example where we see preservation of a structure. Because it's easy to see houses sadly going into disrepair and possibly falling down. And, Vermillion started in 1859. Not that there were any houses from 1859 here. Out in the country, I think 1860s maybe. But we have a lot of houses that were built in the 1880s, a few in the 1870s, and on and on. So we've got a legacy in this community and in the county. So I don't know if that helps. No.
Are you part of the State Historic Preservation Office then, Schiffel? Are you part of that?
No, that's separate. Yeah, we're county, Clay County, Illinois. Yeah, that's part of the state. So yeah. Anything else for the good of the order?
I stumbled over her name. It's really sad that I would stumble over Evelyn when my mom's name was Evelyn, but you have a 50-50 drawing, so your work's not quite yet done.
Oh, no. Whoa.
Oh, see, 2 have been rejected.
No, don't come back in there.
Go back in there. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Come on, Evelyn, come on.
Oh, let's see. Randy Wigan?
Rand Wergen.
No,
Nope, Rand's not here today.
not today.
That's it. Deputy
No.
President to win.
Oh, well.
He's teaching class. His loss. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's very interesting to me when we do these awards every year. But thank our seniors for coming today. It's good to have you with us and all the rest of the members of the commission that are here. We appreciate you coming today. So, and congratulations to all the winners of the awards. We will now do our closing song. Jim's here. Good, oh boy, thank goodness Jim's here.
I'm playing the pitch today. I'm playing the pitch today. I'm sorry. I thought you said Kevin. See how close you came. My country did.